there are a number of business units within Emirates Flight Catering, and one of them is the manufacturing wing, and we focus on the economy meal. So it doesn't mean that if you're first class or business or economy, there's any difference in the level of food safety. I think very comfortably say that we've got some of the highest standards when it comes to food safety. We have to. You've got our end customer traveling 30,000 feet up in the air with limited facilities, either medical facilities or bathroom facilities if the very worst happens. But also if you potentially got the pilot affected, you can have a catastrophe. So you have to have those high standards. Now, Emirates Flight Catering, in its many guises, because we used to be a different company many years ago, 30 years ago, set up food safety standards. I think one of the first companies in this region about 30 years ago, so much before many of us even heard of food safety. Why focus on the manufacturing wing? So I've had experience with the catering wing. What they do there is called cook chill. So they basically cook the product and blast chill it within very quickly after cooking it, so that we get it down to a chill temperature of 1 to 4 degrees. So keep it outside the danger zone. I'm sure Richard will have some clarification of danger zone down the line. But that's what happens in the flight catering, and within a certain amount of time from the blast chilling, it's put on board, reheated if applicable, or served to the passenger. With respect to food point, we do cook, chill, assemble, freeze. So the meal is frozen, it then goes to the catering unit, it's defrosted and put on board. It doesn't make it any less safe. I would, because I've had the experience in the frozen industry, say that sometimes frozen is fresher because it limits the shelf life of a product and makes sure that it doesn't have to go through 2 to 3 weeks, possibly like a fruit or vegetable at an ambient temperature or a chill temperature. Does that answer your question? Is that, would you like further information? What do you say? Events, yeah. So definitely Dubai municipality code is followed. We also follow the International Travel Catering Association standards and EU guidelines. We want to follow industry best practices. So sometimes, even though we follow Dubai municipality, it's one of the references. And with respect to food safety, we follow all of theirs, but with respect to microbial counts and verification standards, we have our own in-house standards, and they are very, very high because of the risk, the potential risk to our end consumer.
Okay, thanks Lauren for that input. I'd like to have Mr. Arichandan speak about his concerns regarding temperature measurement and temperature maintenance in his industry.
I'm going to say something about food point and learning. In terms of regulation, I think one of the few companies here who are very, very tough, and Lorraine being even more tough. She's a personal friend of 20 years, but she doesn't give a damn about that. She makes sure that we deliver the product at the right temperature, and she has rejected no matter what it is.
That's very nice. I mean, in this business, I think there are no shortcuts. And with any business, especially in the food business, the results are very obvious if you actually take a shortcut. From an engineering point of view, it takes a long time for the shortcomings to be too much, as happened I would like to tell the Gulf of Mexico, the BP spill, which was the shortcuts being taken. Just to prove a point, what Ravi said, that it's nice to know that people are self-regulating themselves to the extent that it's, very encouraging to know that. And this is what I think the municipalities, the message also goes across, that the best regulator is yourself. I mean, the awareness of following the rules and regulations. I mean, everything looks good on paper. All the regulations, all the laws, but unless the laws are implemented and enforced and self-enforced, that would be the best thing. I'd like to mention.
There's no way that you can bypass dairy food point being rejected even for 1 degree more. which is sometimes I thought was ridiculous. But over the year, we have learned so much, and we have improved ourselves manifold. And we have never had a problem for exactly 18 months now, not a single one. And I'm sure Lorraine will vouch for that. The issues that we face, and we had faced earlier, was about transportation, refrigerated transportation, reputed brand of vehicle, and to go to professional refrigeration companies in town. This is something that we have learned as well. And they are here today, like TSC and Thermo Capability, and they do a great job. So this is something that we learned and we like to pass it on to others, that quality comes with a price. And if you do go for a cheaper one, you might have to end up losing business if you don't deliver products at the right temperature.
There was a health check once, I'm not sure, once in a year, I think, for a blood check and a X-ray for communicable disease, which is excellent, because the person who's handling the food who's actually bringing to the table is again the weakest link. You would have everything else very good, but if the person is having some communicable disease, you would actually blame it on the food. So those standards are there, but what I'm talking about, personnel who are actually aware and trained in these standards. How many of us actually have people who do that? I can tell you for a fact that we learn the standards from the food inspectors who come from Dubai municipality and say, listen, we need a separate wash basin for vegetables, we separate wash basin for non-vegetarian food. This has to be stored separately. But those are very basic standards. Again, we'll touch upon that subject a bit later in terms of staff training. What John mentioned a while ago about reducing 300 watts per square meter to 120 watts touches upon a very important aspect of our business, which is energy conservation. I read an article in which I found that 15% of the energy consumption in the world is consumed by refrigeration business. And in this world of being green and environmentally sensitive, and of course making sense to the end user in terms of reduced energy costs, I think everybody's doing everybody a favor by reducing energy consumption. I will come to that a bit later on in the discussion. Energy conservation is going to be discussed at a much later stage. Yes, unfortunately, Noha Jasim, she's the maintenance manager from Spiri. She's had an operation with Vishawa. And thank you for coming. And we'll continue with that discussion. The other item of the agenda is, what John mentioned is a marriage of engineering and refrigeration. From a personal perspective, I have found that one of the main culprits in the whole food chain is engineering, design and consultants. Are there any consultants here in the audience? We have 85 convenience stores, and I can tell you for a fact that the mistake of the first store is still being repeated in the 85th. And that makes my job a bit, convincing, because they want me to fix all these problems. The bottom line is, consultants, at least in this part of the world, is all about cut and paste. Would everybody agree, or is there anybody who disagrees? As you can see, cut and paste is one of the most favorite things here. Mistakes are being repeated at a huge cost. My budget of refrigeration, 45% of my budget goes into compressor replacements. Again, that's a good thing for compressor supply companies, but not very good for us. I'd like you to touch upon the issue of design, as to how important is design into this. What Mr. Sapal had to say?
I'm sorry, give the answer.
Yes, Mr. Raza.
And one more thing, I bring my Suraj is here, he is handling any hygienic problem, he is handling, he will be
Please, yes, Suraj, if you'd like to.
So, for the first one, if I know my job, I have to go and see is the components is the design is the right design? Do I get a full performance from all the components? It's not just anything to come to the conclusion, or maybe I came with less power on the compressor or less horsepower. As I said, the normal market is the horsepower. I give them 5, and the other give them 4, and the other one give them 6. And the value is only based on the power of the compressor. On the other hand, when the client comes and says, thank you very much, you give me a very good cold store, which is working very fast, very good. Actually, I should feel of shame from my side, because he asked for a cold room, or he asked for the chiller, or he asked for freezer. What I gave them in the place, it was a glass chiller or glass freezer, which is a high initial cost and high power consumption and very low performance. And in the long run, more breakdown, because when the unit is oversized, okay, it makes it safe for the supplier that client get the temperature very quick, but in the long run, due to the start-stop, and the system will not last long. One thing that just was I learned from the market, there should be some kind of organization, some kind of to control all this, at least for the industrial type of cold store, or for the commercial, which is like food processing, restaurant, chain restaurant, I don't know, the municipality to control it from the initial beginning. Because unfortunately, there's not that much consultant in the market which they are aware of the refrigeration. As they understand, it's mostly a cut and paste. They have some old specs, information, they make it as a tender and they release it in the market. Then whoever gives the lowest price is the vendor. It's not correct. As I can see, for example, myself will be controlling the air conditioning. They get involved with the design, and they get involved with the performance of the unit, but unfortunately nothing in the refrigeration.
With everything that's been said. But from a food safety point of view, the design I would look at in probably three different areas. Well, one is the, as well as obviously how well it's built and how it can be cleaned and so on, but the location. Two particular issues about the location. I've heard colleagues tell me that people are putting in freezers and fridges that actually open into the external, not into the air conditioning, but to external. So when you open the door, you get a tremendous amount of warm air coming in. So that seems to me a major problem. The other one is in the location within the premises as to how close it is to the preparation area. Because if the refrigeration or the freezer is not close, particularly the refrigeration to the preparation area, people will tend not to use it, so they'll leave the food out rather than taking it back after it's been prepared. So there's two issues, and I'm sure other people can add to that. So that's the location. The capacity, for me, the size of the unit to cope with demand, not the average demand, but the maximum demand in terms of storage, particularly in the catering, again, catering establishments. That if you have a restaurant that has, let's say, 100 covers, then do you need the capacity for 100 covers? Well, how many times are those covers sold? 5 times during the day, 10 times during the day? So it's not a capacity for 100 meals, it's a capacity for 500 or 1,000 meals. Then you have to look at what are they actually serving outside the restaurant. Are they doing banquets for outside when they could do another 500 people? So when people are designing, are you taking in the maximum, not the minimum or the average, but the maximum usage to make sure that you can deal with it? In terms of performance, how is the unit going to be used? For instance, I've seen a lot of abuse of refrigeration when drink has been put in the refrigerator, which particularly raises temperature. So bring bottles